Happy Wednesday! You can maybe hear Stephen and the dog in the background. So, if you hear the dulcet tones of dog training, please disregard. I'm appreciating getting a chance to sit down and make a YouTube and chat with you a little bit this evening. I'm really sorry that I've missed you the past couple of days. I hope that keeping up with the reading hasn't been too hard, if that's something that you've been wanting to do, that I didn't hold you up too much. This has been kind of a weird and a difficult week in some ways, but we are back together now. I'm sure you noticed that the Psalms plan that we are working through with She Reads Truth actually ended last week. It ended in 3 weeks, and this is the last week of Hebrews. Sorry, some weird sunlight here. So we're kind of wrapping up this next little chunk of what we've been doing. So I've also been kind of struggling with / thinking about where we should go from here and praying about it a lot. I'm just trying to kind of gauge where we're at and where you gals are and where we want to be moving, so we're not stagnating here with whatever it is we've got going on. I also kind of wanted to talk about that a little tiny bit. I'm gonna kind of give you my thoughts on the readings for the past few days, it's not formal, whatever. So we'll do this first. When we started this, when I kind of felt the nudge to, there's a dog here on my screen, to start a little Instagram text message Bible study group. We were kind of at the beginning of our quarantine. We were doing it was right before Easter, so almost 2 months ago, and had more interest than I thought and a lot of engagement, and that was wonderful. And now as we've kind of, I feel like from my perspective, what we've been doing has really gotten me through a time that was hard to, it's helped me get routine, it's helped me stay talking to people, it's helped me stay connected, it's helped keep me in the Word in a disciplined way besides just the reading that Stephen and I do together. And all those things have been really fantastic, and now we're moving kind of through this, right? Not that it's ending, but that there's a new normal, there are new rhythms being made. If you were in school, you're probably out of school, and I'm not sure now what this looks like for us, what purpose this needs to serve. So we can keep doing what we've been doing. The She Reads Truth, if all you're looking for, I'll say this, if what you're looking for going forward, and I'm happy to hear your thoughts, is a disciplined way and some accountability and some reason to read scripture, all those She Reads Truth studies are available to you online, and they're free and they're wonderful. They're super easy. I did a lot of them while I was in undergrad. What you're looking for is more of a Bible study, continue with this community, maybe add on a little bit more accountability. If you made videos and want to keep talking in that vein, I'm thinking that might be where we're moving a little bit. So to something like a smaller group that actually meets face to face or does lives for one another, maybe on a less of a daily basis and more of a getting together on a weekly basis, or really getting a little more chance to talk with one another about some of these things, do some prayer together. So that's kind of what's on my mind, is that's where we might be going. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, with a little more accountability, a little more commitment involved than just getting a text message or watching a video, then let me know. If you're ready to move on and do some She Reads Truth on your own, let me know about that too. I'm sad that Instagram didn't work out for us this time, but if you wish we could get back to Instagram lives, let me know. We'll kind of see if this has run its course or if there's more for us to do here. I know there's always more for God to do, and there's always more for us to learn, and I'm like getting choked up about the Bible. We could probably go through the same Hebrew study 2 more times, and we could get new things from it every time. So I don't want this to seem like, oh, it's dropping off because I got bored and we ran out of things to say. It's not that. It's figuring out where this needs to move, figuring out where God's calling each of us, and if those calls continue to run together over the internet for this next little bit. So I hope you'll reach out to me if you have any thoughts or opinions about that. I really, really would love to hear from you. So that aside, we're making it through one of my favorite parts of the New Testament right now. I was going to say of Hebrews, but it's more than that. We just finished Hebrews 10, right? We're into Hebrews 11. Let me pull up the one that was from Monday, which Monday was a holiday, so I didn't do anything. I didn't record anything that day, but just did some of the reading. Yeah, so we started Hebrews 11 on Monday. I'm not going to read them aloud, but just my takeaways that I like to hear from you guys, so I like to share them when I can. We're kind of moving on to a bigger discussion, a more intimate discussion almost. It's kind of both of faith, right? The title in my Bible, which my old Bible didn't have this one, it says Examples, Discipline, Disobedience. Is kind of like this whole last section. And so it starts with this faith of the ancients, right? And goes through, at first, kind of going through, it starts with Abel, right? And then goes through Abraham, and then again in a little bit. But on this first reading, it ends with, all these died in faith. They did not receive what had been promised, but saw it, greeted it from afar, acknowledged themselves to be strangers and aliens on earth. And the devotional reading from Monday kind of pointed out the idea of these individuals who lived in the world by faith alone, not having a home and being searching for a homeland, and pointed out the humility required by that position, the humility of being someone who doesn't belong and being okay with owning that. And think of how uncomfortable it is to be the alien and to be the one who feels outside, and think of how many, crimes have been committed and books have been written and stuff because of people being made to feel alienated or feeling that way. And this, all these stories about the Old Testament speak about our faith, our ancestors in faith who were marked by faith because they walked in the world without being of the world, believing strongly that there was something different coming, that this was not their home, and just living in that and owning that and letting that be what marked their lives. And I was thinking about this week we're hearing, just so many more heartbreaking and nauseating and difficult truths about the status of our society and the racism embedded in our culture. And I was just struck by this reading and the idea of, this is not our home. We know that there is something better to look forward to, and it is our mission to make Earth as much like that as possible. There is, I think, a real call for that. I was remembering one of my Hebrew classes in undergrad, talking about how the Earth is described before the fall happens, and that's what God's vision for us was, and that's what heaven is supposed to be like. That's what the new earth is supposed to be like. And then bringing that home with the idea that we humbly accept that this is not our home, and we faithfully accept that it is our job to make this as like our home as we can. And these people that we're reading about in this week, what marks their lives is faith, and faith is what will bring about that change. The first verse of 11, faith is the assurance of what is hoped for and the certainty of things not seen. Faith is where the change becomes real. Faith is where we're trusting God to make the change, and we're making the change, and those are so intimately connected, and we have faith that God will make the change. We talked about, I took the coolest class ever at Baylor called Faith and Reason, and it was about, can you be a Christian based on reason alone without faith? And we decided no, of course you can't. But it was just cool to really examine and see how important faith is to everything about our lives. We kind of go, this reading, or the reading from today then, the beginning of chapter 12, starts with God our Father and talks about suffering as a trials and discipline of the Lord. And this kind of connects to the previous, I think, this idea of the people marked by faith who weren't yet able to see the salvation of God in the way that we are. That suffering happens, and it's part of who we are as humans in a fallen world. And our role through all of that, our suffering and other suffering, is to have faith. It is to just lean into the person of God and to knowing God better and to faith in his sovereignty and to learning more about him, knowing that his promises are true and knowing that our identity is found in him alone, and chasing the knowledge of God and trust in God further than we ever thought we could. That's gonna be the flywheel of what our lives are like in a world that's fallen, in a world where we don't belong, in a world where we're going to die and something is going to mark our lives, in a world where things are going to happen that we can't explain. The answer to all of that, the end of all of that, the assurance of what is hoped for, is faith in God. So that was really encouraging for me today. I hope it has been for you. I will hopefully be able to read along with you tomorrow morning, but we'll see. So if you're keeping up, wonderful, I love you. Let me know if you have any thoughts about where we're going, or if any of those ideas that I mentioned just kind of like spark something that's like, oh, that's for me to be a part of. I fully believe 100% in God pushing people in that direction. So let me know. I love you. Have a wonderful night.